Okay, got some things glued up here. This box went together. I've got glue kind of all over it, but hopefully that'll clean up with sanding. What I did here was I put this lid, the bottom of the lid in place, put this as best I could in place, lightly coated, if you could see behind the line, behind this area. This triangular shape of the lid, just lightly coated that with glue and kind of massaged it in with my finger. Did the same thing on this piece, put them both together while this was clamped down to my extrusion like that. Brought this into place and then clamped it to the lid below it. Let it sit for just a few minutes, not long. Took the clamps off, pulled it back. I had a little glue squeeze out here, so I cleaned that up, and then clamped these two together for a short time, and it's locked in place now. It did kind of slide on me a little bit, but I still have a pretty good fit here. I'm a little shy of this edge here when I'm parallel, but I'll true that up when I sand it. It's probably just a few thousandths of an inch maybe, but no big deal, I don't think. This thing's got me so perplexed. I built a full-scale model of my lid there. I'm going to drill a pivot point approximately where I think it should be in my real box, and then I can try it and see how it's going to work. So I'm thinking in this one it's going to be about 7/8 in from each corner, and so I'll set this one up, drill it, run a bolt through there, and see how it works. All right, it appears as though it's going to be fine. So I'm going to drill my box, my lids, and I'll glue this block in there and drill that at the same time. I wonder if I've got something that can look a little more elegant. But what I want is this pin to be full length so that when you pivot it, you don't have any threads wearing on that hole. It'll last longer. And this goes all the way through, but I'm going to countersink this as well. Alright, we should be okay. Rather than use that piece of it was soft maple, I went to white oak. That's the hardest wood I've got around here. So I want to let that set up a while. And while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to trim this lid to length and get this thing ready to go. I got to try this again. The first time I drilled it, the lid was too far back. Not by a lot, but enough to notice anyway. Okay, I've got it reasonably close. I've still got some parts that, you know, are not flush like I want them to be. But I'm going to have to take care of that with some sanding. Now, so this works great, and I like that action right there. And then I've got to take this apart and make my slot in this piece. So it works out pretty good. I'm able to take the ends of my wrench and just get a hold of that and then turn that in. Let me show you what I mean here. So I can get it fairly tight by doing this. If I can get it out now. Yeah, it's coming. I don't want to do that too many times. I guess I can put a little sanding on that edge. So once I get it out here, alright, so I'll set up my router table, make that groove, make sure I make a mark here. It's got to go in this direction. And I'll probably do about an inch or so. Then we'll come back and try it again here. Okay, let's see how this works. I'm not going to put the bolt all the way down, but we'll thread it in. See what kind of action we have here. All right. The slot could have been just a little bit shorter, but that's okay. You see how much clearance I have here. I made it a little over an inch. It could have been probably 3/4 of an inch. Could have been right there. Yeah. Then you wouldn't have seen that slot. Okay, I think I've got it up well enough along here. I'm going to sand this up. Sorry, I'm going to sand this up and see what it looks like. I've already gone through 80, 120, and now 150. It's looking pretty good. I'll have to take off the sharp edges here, when I get done. I rounded the corners here, but yeah, it looks really nice. All right, not bad. If you watch the bolt here, as I pivot the lid, the bolt wants to come with it. I've got to keep that from happening, so I'm gonna mix up a little epoxy and put that in that threaded portion. I'll let it set up, and then that should keep that as a pivot pin rather than something that wants to come unthreaded. So if I open it, works really well. All right, here's what I settled on for my pins. I had some 1/8 inch rod, steel rod. I was thinking about using finish nails, but too inconsistent really in length, and then you'd have to deal with the head of the nail as well, which would not be a bad thing. But anyway, what I'm going to do with these is this is my locking pin, and these are all false pins. So this one is going to get basically driven in like a nail, or all these three are, and they're going to be left just a bit proud of the surface, and then this one will also be ground down to the surface. But this will be my locking pin that will be able to be removed with a magnet. So that will be put in place like so. I'll store the magnet over here, and then, you know, maybe challenge people to figure out how to open the thing. So the magnet can be, you know, just slid off. These others will not come out because it's going to be a tight fit. This one is, these are drilled one drill bit smaller than this one. I'll put a little tape around these on the end, and they'll be a wedge fit. Now I did countersink the top of these so that they do have the exact open diameter of this one here. So they will appear to be the same. But I think that's kind of a nice little twist on the box. So I'll round this one off, take the sharp edges off, and pound the other ones home, and then come back. And the way I cut those was with this little setup here. Just took a piece of scrap plywood, ran a shallow kerf in it, clamped my steel rod in there, and then just used my hacksaw and cut the lengths that I needed. I wish I could keep this look, but the sanded look, you know, that line just about disappears. Let's see how well this works here. There you go. One other update on my box here. I found that if I put a magnet, I want to put it on the inside obviously, but I put it on the outside because I need to come up with a way to hold it to the wall. But it's strong enough to hold the key from falling out, but not strong enough to keep it from coming out with another magnet. So if I can find a way to mount this to the inside and keep it in place, then when I withdraw the key and put it back in there, you can't turn it over and have it fall out, which would be kind of cool. So I'm gonna work on that idea as well.